Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about how to get mentioned in AI overviews. And this is really important because anytime you do a Google search, a lot of times you see AI overviews. If you're not getting your company mentioned in the AI overviews, you're missing out on brand opportunities, you're missing out on clicks, and of course, then if you're not getting mentioned there, your competition is, which no one really likes. My name is Neil Patel. I'm the co-founder of NP Digital. I also have Nikki with me and Brittany. Nikki, do you want to give a quick introduction first, and then Brittany, you can do the same?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm the VP of SEO at NP Digital. I oversee all of our SEO department and operations here in the US, and I'm excited to speak with you today.
Yeah, hey everyone. My name is Brittany Werdowatz, and I am a senior SEO manager here at NP Digital US. I've been working in the SEO and digital marketing world for about 10 years now and have worked with a variety of well known clients in many different industries. Excited to get started and talk about AI overviews today.
Cool, awesome. So we're NP Digital. We're a global ad agency in 28 plus countries, work with a lot of amazing brands, and we have tons of awards. And we've been able to get our clients more traffic when AI overviews started rolling out than less traffic because a lot of our clients started getting mentioned. So that's always a good win. And if you need help getting mentioned in the AI overviews, we're going to break that down today. If you just want someone to do it all for you, as well as other digital marketing things like paid advertising or CRO, scan that QR code with your phone and it'll end up taking you to NP Digital and you can just pop in your information. So when you think about marketing and generating traffic from Google, especially from an organic perspective, the bar has been raised. It is harder than ever. When I started SEO, it was really a keyword game. You focus on a keyword, you put it in the title tag, meta description, put it in the content, you slowly start ranking. Eventually, you got to start building links, but that came years later. And then if you want to fast forward to today, SEO has really turned into a topic game, not really a keyword game. It's about covering topics exceptionally well and having everything really well organized. And the example I love giving is the library. If you were trying to learn SEO and you went to a library, all the SEO books should be together. The SEO books with the link building books, with the keyword research. And then if you want to learn paid advertising, it shouldn't be in a sister library or another building. It should be in the next section because it all is under quote unquote digital marketing. If your website isn't organized well and you're not focusing on topics, you don't do well in today's world. The other thing that you may have noticed is visibility is becoming tougher and tougher. You do a search, when you look at above the fold, roughly 67% of the screen height is taken over by AI overviews, feature snippets, and then of course if there's paid ads above the fold as well, that pushes the organic results down. All of these things really impact how many people are going to be clicking on over to your website. But does that mean that you should give up? No, it's not really an option. Why? Google's continually growing. When we look at the latest numbers published by Google, 5 trillion plus searches a year. That's ridiculous. And when you want to put it on a daily basis, that's over 13 billion searches per day. Their numbers are continually growing more and more. Google's not slowing down in popularity. ChatGPT has not killed it. And when you look at which platforms give people the information they're really looking for, people find that Google is the most helpful platform, followed by YouTube. And when you look at Google and YouTube, owned by the same company, they really do dominate the search landscape, at least when it comes to traditional search. It's also affecting search behavior. We have not only AI overviews, but a lot of LLMs out there that people are using. And when you look at how they're using each other, it's not like ChatGPT is killing Google or Google is killing ChatGPT. A lot of these AI platforms, they're mainly used for informational purposes. On the flip side, Google's used for information, but also navigational, commercial, and transactional. The percentage of transactional searches on ChatGPT is almost non existent, right? I know it's low on Google as well, but it's roughly 8 times more likely used for transactional searches where the money is versus informational searches. And people are also looking for instant answers. This is what's causing Google to grow in popularity. People just want to search and get the answer right away. The data we've seen is more people are not just using Google, but they're typing in more searches into Google as well because they're able to get their answers right away. And this is what people want. And you're seeing everything from AI overviews to even AI mode. Google's continually optimizing that for giving people answers right away, which is why clicks to websites have gone down, but the overall number of people using Google has increased. Hence, even with more quote unquote no clicks, according to Danny Sullivan from Google, Google has continually driven more traffic to websites each and every single year than the previous. And he's, in that quote, he's talking about organic traffic. As I mentioned, they're here to stay. It works. You can see how it's affecting click rates. You can see how it's affecting frequency. You can see, user satisfaction. People are happier and happier with Google AI overviews, and they've drastically improved in a very short period of time. And paid ads in AI overviews haven't really taken off, but I bet over the next year or two, they'll figure out how. As it shows up more and more, they're of course going to want to monetize. Why? Because they make a lot of ad revenue. They're not going to want to kill their golden goose. It's also impacted click rates. As I mentioned, right, we're seeing more zero-click searches from all of this, but keep in mind, more people are using Google, so people can still get quite a bit of traffic to their website and more than they could have called it 4 or 5 years ago. But here's the good news, okay? With AI overviews, people have seen, even though, decreases in clicks, but with no AI overviews for the keywords and the search phrases that don't have it, we're actually seeing an increase in clicks. And this is data from Sierra Interactive. So at the end of the day, a lot of the terms that AI overviews are popping up for aren't really terms that you're going to necessarily make tons of money from. They're great for branding though. And ones that have no AI overviews are still generating a lot of clicks. And the majority of AI overviews are triggered by informational searches. And those keywords you still want to optimize for because you can still get traffic. You can still get mentioned in the AI overviews with link citations, which helps with traffic to your website. And the real opportunity is branding. It can help you build a brand, but you need to leverage the rule of 7, in which when you get mentioned all over the web 7+ times and people are interacting with your brand 7 times, technically you need to get mentioned all over the web more than 7 times, but when people interact and see your brand 7+ times, they're much more likely to buy from you, evangelize your brand, and make sure their friends all buy from you as well.
Thanks, Neil. Now let's talk a little bit about where we are today and a history of how we got here. So I'm sure a lot of you have noticed the path to AI overviews has been really fast. So Bing launched their AI chat in early 2023. Then we saw Google come in and try to keep up and launch their SGE that was in beta for a while. Then they officially launched AI overviews in May 2024. This is all happening while Search GPT is becoming, a key player in the search space. Now cut to today, where we now have officially Google's AI mode. So understanding this evolution and how quickly things have changed can help us anticipate what's to come next. So let's also not forget that early AI overviews were incredibly clunky. They were often very inaccurate, and Google was getting things horrendously wrong in some cases. In fact, you can see on the screen here that Google was telling people to use glue to help their cheese stay on their pizza. So it's no surprise that back in summer of last year, only 37% of people were saying that they were actually satisfied with these AI overviews. However, thanks to feedback, testing, iterating on AI overviews, the quality has drastically improved. Many of you know Google is always running a ton of tests. They want to make sure that they're providing the most amount of value to their searchers. And it's no different with AI overviews. They're constantly testing, asking for user feedback, and trying to help improve how these AI overviews work for their user set. So now let's look a little bit at the anatomy of an AI overview. What does it actually look like? So they're pretty short. They're usually around 170 words or less. They often have around 5 to 8 citations, although this is always changing, right? I've seen AI overviews with sometimes like 20 different citations. And then again, this is always changing as well, but they're usually pulled from the top 10 to 12 rankings. Did see a study come out, I think just yesterday from Search Engine Land, that this may be changing. So again, this is generally what an AI overview looks like. The anatomy of one, right? You've got your answer, you've got your citations, and staying up on, the latest and greatest in terms of the number of citations, where those are being pulled from, and how much overlap there is with the page one rankings. You kind of have to be constantly looking into this because it can change very quickly. Now, when do AI overviews appear? There's no hard and fast rule for this, but what we're seeing is that there is a very high correlation between AI overviews appearing in the SERPs and featured snippets, right? And that makes sense because they're primarily triggered by informational queries. So what we want to share with you today is essentially, it's not random, right? This is something that's kind of repeatable, informational queries that have historically triggered featured snippets. This means that all of this for your brand is optimizable for more visibility. Now, longer queries are also more likely to trigger AI overviews. Targeting long tail conversational queries should be a core part of your strategy. When I first got into SEO, there were these rules about, we're not going to target any keyword with less than 100 searches or less than 200 searches. But those days are over. Right now, you really need to make sure that you are optimizing for semantically related keywords. And if they are very long in length, or if they don't have as much search volume, you still want to go after those because these types of keywords and optimizing for them, they help you rank for AI overviews. They help you rank within AI search in general. So you really need to be accounting for these lower volume, longer tail keywords. And don't forget, those are typically less competitive as well. Now, a recent study from BrightEdge actually shows that from September to January, queries with multiple keywords have seen a sharp increase in AI overview appearances. So again, you don't want to forget about those very long tail keywords. This is a trend that is accelerating fast, as you can see on the chart. So what can you learn from an analysis of AI overviews? Well, they lean heavily towards concise, guidance, general guidance, step-by-step content, how-to answers. And this is actually increasingly prevalent in all things health and wellness. But even if you're not in the health and wellness space, the key to winning with AI overviews is to write clear, concise, skimmable, authoritative content. And if you've tuned into these webinars before, you've heard from Neil and our teams that this is the approach anyway, right? People want what they want and they want it very quickly. So the more you can be providing this clear, skimmable, and well-written content, it's going to help you engage your users. And it's also going to put you in the right position to win with the future of AI search. Now, YouTube. YouTube is also becoming very critical with the future of Google search. Instructional videos, visual content, it's now getting cited in AI overviews at a much stronger rate than it was initially. There's actually been a 21% increase month over month in these types of video and visual citations. So, if you haven't been putting time into other types of media to engage with your audiences, It's been a good time to start doing that, right? We see YouTube continue to emerge as one of the top ways people search. Neil showed you that on the chart, right? Where right behind Google is YouTube as the number one way that, number two way that people find information. But now with AI overviews and Google citing these videos directly within them, it's a really great time to start thinking about what types of video content you can use to engage your audience and answer the questions that they have.
Thanks, Nikki. So a great way to become more familiar with AI overviews and all of Google's AI features is by using Google's very new AI mode. Google just introduced its limited release launch of AI mode last month in March. This new mode adds AI-powered responses directly into search, helping you get quick summaries and follow-up answers, which provides a better search experience for users. For now, there is priority access available for Google One AI Premium subscribers, and US users can also opt in via Search Labs. Next, we'll dive deeper into what exactly AI mode is. So Google's new AI mode is an experimental search experience that brings the power of generative AI directly into Google search. The goal of this search experience is to give users more in-depth, nuanced answers and provide a much easier search experience that provides exactly what you're looking for. It's almost like having a smart assistant built into your search that's quickly going to help you find whatever you need. In the example we have on this slide, on the left, you can see the traditional search results page for a query asking where you can get a certain type of purse. You see ads, shopping listings, and local results pop up for this query. So the results are pretty varied, and you still need to do a bit of work to find what you're looking for. On the right with AI mode, you have more direct answers to that same query. It tells you specifically where you can find the purse you're looking for with actual locations listed out. So it successfully answers that question in a more direct and helpful way. You can really think of Google's AI mode as if AI overviews and ChatGPT had a baby. It doesn't just give you a one-time answer like a typical search. You can follow up with questions, and it remembers what you're talking about, just like a conversation. In this example on the left, you can see how a user asks a historical question about Henry VIII. Then on the right, you can see that they're able to ask deeper related questions, and Google continues the thread with full context. This makes your search feel more natural and way more helpful than a traditional search. Where AI mode really excels is by summarizing results related to the query so that the user doesn't need to spend a lot of time clicking through to different links searching for their answer. In the example, we see this in action. So on the left, the traditional search results page simply lists links to news sites for the query San Diego news this week. So you have to click through each one to find what's relevant to you. But with AI mode on the right, Google gives you an instant summary of top news stories you can quickly scan and find what you're looking for. There's no extra searches or clicking into irrelevant results needed. It's just that straightforward answer to your question. This is a really helpful feature when you want that fast, high-level takeaway from your search. So of course, as AI mode becomes a bigger part of search, there's a new SEO goal that everyone will be striving for: getting your brand or business recommended directly in AI-generated answers. You want to be the go-to answer AI shows for all relevant queries to gain that brand visibility in front of users. In this example, NP Digital is not only mentioned in AI overviews, but it's positioned as the top recommended agency for the query award-winning end-to-end global digital marketing agency. This demonstrates strong brand authority and credibility to users. In this next section, we'll cover everything you need to know about how to optimize your content in order to be featured in AI reviews. It is true that AI mode is new and still evolving, but we can already draw from what we know about AI overviews to start preparing. One of the most effective ways to understand how to show up in AI overviews is by working backwards. We'll walk through how to reverse engineer existing AIO citations, how to figure out why certain sites or pages were chosen by Google's AI. By analyzing the formatting and similarities of those sources, we can start crafting content that's more likely to be pulled into these AI-generated summaries. To see how AI overviews are being selected, you can start your research by tracking the results you're seeing in search. The first tracking to start with is a query segmentation analysis, which will look at which type of queries in your niche are triggering AI overviews. You need to be able to see what kind of queries are getting visibility in order to really know what type of content to prioritize and how to effectively format that content. Second, you should monitor branded search visibility. Branded search visibility will help you track if AI reviews are actually mentioning your brand where it's relevant. You ideally should be showing up for queries that are relevant to your brand, where you are an authority. If your brand isn't being shown, that can mean that it isn't authoritative enough to be shown instead of your competitors. These two types of tracking give you the baseline to identify any missed opportunities and build a content strategy that targets relevant content within your industry. You may now be wondering, how do I even track these queries and brand mentions within AI reviews? Luckily, there are tools available now that can help monitor AI reviews and give you the data you're looking for. Platforms like Advanced Web Ranking and ZipTie let you monitor which queries trigger AI reviews and whether your site is included. Also, popular keyword tracking tools like Ahrefs and SEMrush also help track keywords that you're showing up for in all those AI reviews. And last mention is for tools like Profound that help uncover patterns and how AI is sourcing and surfacing that content. These are just a few listed, but there are more and more tools coming out all the time now to track AIOs and help give a more accurate picture of how your website ranks. To optimize for AI overviews effectively, it's important to understand where they're pulling their information from. About 33 to 55% of cited websites and AIOs also rank in the top 10 organic results, which means strong SEO fundamentals and best practices still matter. AI overviews tend to prioritize domain authority, fresh recent content, and clear list style or step-by-step content formats. Also, only 5.4% of AI overviews include the exact search query, so optimizing for intent and relevance is more important than exact match phrasing. When we look at the top most visible domains in AI overviews compared to classic search, there's been a noticeable shift in what's being prioritized. AI reviews heavily favor authoritative, informative sources like YouTube, Wikipedia, NIH, and Mayo Clinic, sites that provide depth, clarity, and strong trust signals with their content. On the other hand, classic search results still highlight community-driven platforms more, like Reddit and Quora, which tend to focus on trending discussions and user opinions. There is some overlap here. Domains like YouTube, LinkedIn, and Wikipedia actually rank highly in both, showing that quality content and user engagement is important in ranking for both your classic search and your AIOs. But really the key takeaway here is that while AI and traditional search reward different signals, optimizing for both is necessary. To rank consistently in AI-driven results, your content strategy must evolve to include comprehensive topic coverage and favored formats like video and social. At the same time, maintaining relevance and freshness for traditional search is key. So success is really going to lie in the balance of building a flexible, holistic strategy that thrives in both classic and AI-driven environments.
Yeah, and on top of that, one thing, if you look at the latest update, Google's now mentioning Google results within the AI overview, so you can click and you can end up getting taken to more search results as well, which will increase people searching.
Yeah, good call out. Cool. So to improve the chances of being cited in an AI review, we need to move beyond just keywords and start thinking more semantically. That's where cosine similarity analysis comes in. It measures how closely your content matches the language and structure of the AI-generated response. So start by identifying which of your pages ranks best for the query, then compare it against the AIO's text to find gaps or differences. The goal here really is to optimize your page so that it provides the best possible answer and aligns with the specific way the AIO answers the question. If you're able to do this, then your content has a better chance to be shown in search results over competitors. So there was a recent study from Search Engine Journal that actually analyzed what factors influence visibility in AI-generated answers the most. The results showed that the factors with the largest impact are word count, sentence count, and readability. This means that if you want to rank in AI overviews, you need to focus on creating content that's in depth, thoroughly covers the topic, and is easy to read and understand. Something interesting here to call out in this study is traditional SEO metrics like backlinks, traffic, and even total keyword count were found to be less impactful. So, as we've mentioned a few times, a common theme across these studies so far is that AI overview ranking factors really prioritize high quality content that aligns with user intent rather than just rewarding content that uses a lot of the target keywords. So, as always, quality is key here.
All right, now for the best part. We want to walk you through the key strategies to help you rank in AI overviews. At NP Digital, we've been running so many different tests to try to help our clients gain AI overview visibility. And in some of those tests, we've actually been able to help our clients achieve visibility in AI overviews within 24 hours of implementing our recommendations. So, we want to help you learn from all of the work that we've been doing and give you all the tips to get AI overview visibility. And that starts with really understanding your audience. One of the things we say at NP Digital is don't try to boil the ocean. And so what I mean by that is not every single query is worth chasing after. So you really want to make sure that the juice is worth the squeeze. So think about your customers, those customer personas that you have, what their journeys are, and try to prioritize searches that you feel are more in line and critical to their journey. You can ask yourself questions like, are my users looking for quick answers, or might they want more in-depth information? And be thinking about whether or not ranking in AI overviews would be beneficial, or if you want to try to focus on the queries for now that, Neil showed a chart earlier where the traffic and the click-through rates to queries where there are not AI overviews, that's growing. So there may be some cases where you want to segment your strategy in that way. Now, creating content worth clicking, right? This sounds like a no-brainer. Really, the goal here is not to let zero-click results kill your traffic. So you want to be doing things like using visuals within your content. A huge one is consider using proprietary data. What do you have that you can, look internally at your company, your data, and put into your content? Those are things that nobody else has. And then you also want to be thinking about how to make people want more, right? Give them something that they really can't get elsewhere. Give them something that Google isn't going to be easily replicating. So take this mindset with you into your content creation process. And then I know Brittany touched on this a little bit, but AI certainly favors content that is current. So whether it's timely, trend-driven blog content or updating your evergreen pages, you want to show Google that you are, making timely updates to your content. And this real-time relevance, this helps you earn those citations in AI overviews. Now, don't make the mistake I've seen some people do where you just go update every piece of content on a specific cadence all the time because you think that's what you want to do, right? You want to make sure that you're auditing your content and really finding pieces that need to be updated. So do this strategically, not just arbitrarily. And then low tail or long tail keywords. I talked about this earlier. These are your low hanging fruit. So you want to find those long tail, low difficulty keywords because these are where you can get the quickest wins. And we have a tool for you. Answer the Public can make it very easy for you to identify these common questions and these long tail keywords. You can find keywords that haven't yet been taken over by AI overviews, right? So again, that growing traffic segment, maybe that makes sense as a place for you to start. So hop in to Answer the Public, try putting in some of those topics that matter to you. And, these are your low hanging fruits for sure. Now, of course, because most of the queries triggering AI overviews are informational, that's where a lot of people tend to focus. And that makes sense. But while top of funnel, dominates in AI overviews, you don't want to ignore the middle and the bottom of the funnel. The lower funnel queries may not trigger as many AI overviews now, right? That could certainly change. But they are triggering AI overviews, and this could grow. So just be aware of this, right? Keep your eye out on the SERPs and know that these things are always changing. Neil showed you an example earlier of how there are ads that have been found out in the wild, right? So this shows you that Google is testing and tweaking and trying to find ways to provide AI overview value, even for bottom of funnel queries. So don't forget about that part. And then commercial intent keywords, these can still be really helpful in your research process. So as I was mentioning, Google is finding ways to test this out with more bottom of funnel keywords. And if you want to have a really smart way to do research, go type in one of your more bottom of funnel keywords, right? This example is for dog food. Look at the people also ask that Google is suggesting, because those are the types of relevant and related queries that Google is often triggering AI overviews for. And so looking at those people also ask can be a really clever way to do research and figure out how to take your AI overview strategy from simply, focusing on that top of funnel to expanding down into the mid and the bottom of funnel. And then, here's just an overview of some of the things that you can do, right? You want to leverage digital PR. You want to leverage structured data. Brittany talked a lot about that cosine similarity analysis, right? That's really helpful. You want to be thinking about your technical SEO, right? So this is where your competitors might be falling short. Take these strategies that we have tested and tried, implement them, and use these to your advantage as a way to get ahead of your competitors who might not be focusing on, the right things to win for more of this middle and bottom of funnel strategy for AI overviews. And this one you've probably heard from us a lot in various, different forms, but backlinks still matter. Authority still matters. You want to build campaigns that prioritize, high value backlinks. And it's not just about citations. It's about credibility in general, right? Google wants to reward brands that people trust. And, for better, for worse, Google still understands trustworthy brands through these linking signals. So by building backlinks, you're not just helping yourself with traditional search, but you're also putting yourself in a better position, for the future of AI search and where things are headed, because we know that these backlinking signals are still one of the most valuable ways to build trust. And let's not forget about just some of these general SEO best practices, right? So don't be mistaken. These SEO fundamentals do still matter for AI overviews. So indexability, site speed, optimizing for mobile, EEAT signals, these all still matter. So while you're chasing these AI overviews, which is important, right? It's where search is headed. Just remember that a strong SEO foundation and a strong technical foundation, these still amplify your results and they really still matter. So don't leave these fundamentals behind. And lastly, I've heard a lot of people asking, how important is schema markup for AI overviews? I've seen people asking if this is some sort of direct ranking factor. It's not a direct ranking factor, but it certainly helps Google understand your content and your site structure, right? So you want to be thinking about these schema types that you see on screen: FAQ, how-to, article schema for all of your content. And as we talked about, YouTube and video is becoming huge with citations growing month over month within AI overviews. So you also want to be thinking about video schema. And what's great about this schema markup is, again, this can help you get higher click-through rates in traditional search. This can help you get cited in AI overviews. And this schema markup is also a good lever to pull just for AI search in general. So while it might not be some sort of direct ranking factor for AI overviews, it's certainly a tactic that you want to be maximizing for where search is headed in the future.
Yeah, so continuing with the theme of focusing on really the fundamentals, one of the simplest but most powerful ways to improve your chances of being cited in AO reviews is to focus on simplicity. AI models prioritize content that's clear, skimmable, and easy to interpret, as we've mentioned a few times. So that means keeping sentences short, using headings and bullet points to break text up, and making sure your writing is simple and easy for people to follow is also very important. And tools like Hemingway can help flag complexity issues and highlight where to simplify. So that'll make your content easier for both users and AI to understand. We actually have a real world example of how simple formatting can deliver fast AI overview wins. So, a large medical cosmetic clinic client at NPD wanted better visibility in AIOs. So, we added a structured 3 bullet summary at the beginning of each blog post to try to get some quick visibility wins. Our goals were to boost visibility in AI overviews, enhance readability by allowing users to grasp key insights quickly, and then improve our SEO by aligning with search engines' preferences for that well-organized content. The results were impressive, and we achieved an AI review feature in 24 hours. So there was also stronger engagement and improved SEO performance from these changes. The clear, skimmable format aligned perfectly with how Google's AI prefers to extract and summarize that content, so we were rewarded quickly. Video was quickly becoming a top content type in AI overviews, especially through YouTube integration. And according to Bright Edge, YouTube's presence in AIOs is increasing faster and faster month over month. So if you're not creating videos yet, now's the time to start, as we mentioned. This is especially true for topics that favor YouTube and AIO answers, like how-to content, visual demos, and product comparisons. These formats dominate AI answers because they generally help users understand their queries faster and more visually. When it comes to which industries benefit the most from video citations and AI overviews, healthcare and e-commerce lead by a wide margin, followed by B2B tech, amongst many other industries that we have listed here. But these sectors often rely on visual explanations, demos, and how-to guidance, which is exactly the type of content AI loves to pull from YouTube. If you're one of these industries and not investing in video yet, again, this is a great opportunity to see improvements in the visibility and engagement of your content overall.
Yeah, and this is also one of the reasons why the AI overviews do extremely well. Like if you look at this home and garden image here, my dad has a Chat GPT account. He uses Google AI, or he prefers Google search when it comes to home and garden related searches, because not only can he get all the search results in Google, but he likes how it's just pulling in the exact YouTube video that he's looking for and the area within the YouTube video, so he doesn't have to go watch a whole 20-minute video to
Yep,
get his answer.
exactly. So right now, brand authority isn't an official ranking factor in how AI reviews select their sources, but that's likely to change in the future. And we already know it plays a key role in organic rankings. And as AIOs evolve, they'll need stronger signals of trust and credibility. So that's why it's smart to start building brand authority today through consistent, high quality content, mentions across reputable sites, and showing clear expertise. Building brand authority can take some time, but it's always going to be an important factor in both your traditional search and your AIOs. To build lasting brand authority, you need a strong online presence across platforms. This can be done in many different ways, but it's generally always going to start with your content. Content is still king. Publishing valuable, data-driven content across channels and platforms, plus developing a strong thought leadership presence, will help position you as a brand authority to both Google and your audience. Then to amplify this content, strategic outreach is also very important. You want to get featured in media coverage, guest posts, and in industry awards. All of these outreach tactics help to amplify your online presence. And just as important is relationship building. By partnering with influencers, collaborating with trusted industry voices, and engaging on social media with your followers, you'll be able to build relationships with your audience and with your peers. And lastly, we shouldn't forget about local optimization. Local optimization is still important for AI overviews and for local businesses' search visibility overall. After briefly removing local packs from AIOs in September 2023, Google has now brought them back, and AI mode is showing a strong preference for local results now. This means if you're a business with a local presence, it's crucial to optimize your local listings, include accurate NAP details, and definitely structure your content to serve location based queries. Being AI visible now means being hyper relevant locally too, since AI overviews are consistently showing those local results to users.
So now let's talk about next steps. What should you be doing in this world where AI overviews are continually showing up more and more within Google searches? So first off, think about SEO, digital PR, paid, and in marketing in general, we tend to look at them in silos. I want you to break down the silos and have the different departments work together. When they work together, you're going to see much better results. A great example of this, we're starting to see paid more and more in AI overviews, right? Your paid team needs to be familiar with this to figure out, all right, how do we show up there? And of course, when paid is seeing certain AI overviews do really well, they should notify the SEO team so that way they can work on optimizing, trying to get included in there organically as well. Same with PR. The more links you get, the more mentions you get around the web. We're finding the better you rank, the more you get mentioned in AI overviews. These are all signals. So you want to work hand in hand. Hey, we're creating this content piece that we're publishing on our blog. All right, what can we do to get it mentioned out there? Who should we hit up to cover it? Maybe we get some people the scoop on it. Or hey, we got this really amazing piece of content that can do wonders. Why not actually publish it on an industry publication out there to get our brand out there more and see more and more people reading and accessing our brand from other places other than our own website? When the departments work better, or when they work together and not in silos, your marketing just performs better. You also want to have a shift in perspective from traditional SEO metrics to the new KPIs for AI overviews, right? So things like everyone just is like, hey, in SEO, it's about rankings at first, or technically impressions. You start getting impressions, you then start seeing your rankings go up over time, and then you start seeing more traffic. And those are great metrics. But you also want to look at, hey, what is your citation frequency in AI overviews? What's your brand awareness? You can also use tools like Google Trends, type in your corporate brand name. You can pick the region that you're targeting, or global if you're looking for worldwide, and see, hey, are more people typing in our brand name each and every single week or month? Because if that's increasing, that's great news. If it's not increasing, then you're not really getting your brand out there as much as you would want. In essence, think about influence and not just clicks. Another thing that's really important to keep in mind, and people forget this, it doesn't matter if it's AI overviews or social media, the more people that interact with your brand, the more likely they are to purchase from you. So we did a study to figure out how many times does a consumer roughly need to interact with the brand before they buy. And the reason I say roughly here, it's not exact science. When you're doing surveying, you're asking people, some people just tend to forget and their responses aren't 100% accurate. But in general, we see that with B2C, the more expensive things are, the more people need to interact with the brand. And the same goes with B2B as well. Now, with B2B, when something's like $100 or less, they're less price sensitive. And the reason being is it's a business spending the money versus a consumer. Businesses typically have more cash to spend. But generally speaking, you need to be out there and people need to interact with your brand often before they really make their decision on who they're purchasing from. Now, if you need help with rising to the top and getting mentioned in the area overview, scan the QR code, fill out the form, and we'll be in touch. For anyone who's watching this, really appreciate you guys watching this. I know there's difficulties on LinkedIn. It shows on our end that we're streaming on LinkedIn, but for some reason, Restream is not streaming on LinkedIn, so we do apologize for that if you were one of the people trying to watch on LinkedIn. We also have an up and coming webinar, Google and Meta ad hacks that work. Feel free and register. Hopefully we won't have any technical difficulties for the next one. Again, really apologize for that. All right, let's get into some questions, Colin.
Great stuff. AI overviews all over the place. That's all everyone's talking about, and it's nutty. Lots of questions coming in. Great stuff, everyone. Thank you for the great content. Everyone seems to appreciate it. I love this question, and it's kind of going to go to Neil, Nikki, and Brittany. So whoever wants to address this. What's one outdated SEO tactic that marketers still worship, and what's the 2025 strategy that should replace it? So that's a tough one because some things never change, but there's so many things changing all at once. So maybe Neil, if you could try to address that, and then Nikki and Britt, if you've got any additional things, pile on.
Sure. One thing that SEOs tend to love is creating pages in quantity. They're like, all right, if you want more search traffic, just create tons of pages. In theory, it's somewhat correct because the more pages you have, the more opportunities you have to be seen. But to some extent, it's also incorrect because in today's world, if you have a ton of junk pages, it hurts your overall rankings. And two, when you have tons of pages, people more so focus on keywords than topics. And then they struggle with things like, oh, I got 10 pages on the keyword dog food. Well, then Google's confused on which one to rank because they don't know which of the 10 to choose from. People think, or marketers think, oh, this is going to improve my odds. But in reality, what happens is it just confuses them. So none of the 10 pages rank well.
Nikki, Britt, anything to add to that? That's a tough one.
So I actually was going to say something kind of similar to Neil, so I'll elaborate on that and then add to that. I think, the quantity of content is, you don't want to arbitrarily have some type of goal to create content. I think too, creating content without starting with thinking about how you're going to promote it, right? So we've been talking in this webinar about the power of your brand and how getting your brand mentions and citations and backlinks and stuff like that still matter. If you're creating content without understanding who's going to want to click on it, who's going to want to share it, then you're starting without thinking about the outcome, which is a problem. So I'd say that to kind of elaborate on what Neil said. The other thing I would say is, the way that you're going about your backlinking. Again, backlinks still matter. Brand mentions are going to be critical for the future of AI citations, AI search in general. So if you're only thinking about getting backlinks and you're not trying to get your brand mentioned in general, then you're going to be doing yourself a disservice with where, search is headed with, this integration of AI. So yes, continue to get backlinks, continue to be thinking about, who's going to talk about your content, how they might link to it, what that anchor text might be. But you also want to be thinking about just getting your brand mentioned in general.
Yeah, and only other thing I was going to add, which I think we've already pretty much moved away from this in 2025. I know we've talked about this a lot, but of course is just adding keywords to add keywords. I think you need to make sure that we're adding them, for a purpose, that they fit contextually, semantically, because we talked about that a lot in this webinar as well, as we're moving toward a world where Google, understands that context. So it's more important to have useful content in there that matches contextually than just having a bunch of keywords in there. So I think that's always going to be important moving forward as well for high quality content.
Yeah, things are so conversational now. It's like the focus on keywords seems to be, we want to keep doing that, but we need to slowly move away from that. So Nikki, I got one for you. I haven't read anything about this, so hopefully I'm not going to stump you, but does your Google business profile and company reviews play a part in AI search results and getting included in the AOIs?
Undoubtedly. So we've seen a big trend with Google's new AI mode being really great for local type of searches. And if you have been playing around with ChatGPT, Perplexity, these other AI search tools are pulling in your Google business profile, and they're doing a really good job at meeting users where they're at with needing some type of local recommendation. So if your Google business profile is not up to par, you are going to see this start to hurt you. And another thing to think about too is with where AI search is headed, your reputation is critically important. If you go to Perplexity, ChatGPT, Gemini, AI mode, and you start asking questions about, say, for example, what's the best hotel to stay in if I'm traveling with pets? These platforms, if you probe them enough, will start to tell you that they're recommending certain businesses based on reviews, and not just reviews in general. They'll also cite that recent positive reviews and recent positive user sentiment, which can come from traditional reviews, as you know it, right? Reviews on your Yelp or your Google business profile. But they're also checking forums. So what are people saying most recently about your hotel in, Reddit, and about traveling with pets on Reddit? So they're going to take information from your Google business profile, reviews across your GBPs and other top platforms like Yelp, and forums like Reddit and Quora. And then they're going to use all of that information to decide if they want to recommend your business or not. So if you have not gotten your Google business profile, your reviews management all in order, that's something that NPD can help with, of course, but you definitely want to start paying attention to that with where search is headed.
Great response. So a follow-up to that, if I heard you correctly. So do you think AI mode and everything that's happening on Google right now is going to level the playing field for SMBs? Because historically, the big brands with all the domain authority, they're always the ones that show up on top for those super competitive head terms. Do you feel like this might maybe level the playing field for certain queries for SMBs and smaller content creators? I guess that's a Nikki question.
Yeah, I do think it gives a little bit more potential to some local SMBs, because based on some testing that I've done, I'm seeing the way that, well-reviewed local businesses are being pulled into some of these AI searches. Now, if you aren't, reputable, that's probably going to, put you right back down to the bottom of the list. So you want to be actively managing your reviews, working towards having, a really strong sentiment. And even if you're a small business, if you can prove that you are killing it with certain aspects that users are searching for, right? I just gave the example of a pet-friendly hotel. If you are a pet-friendly hotel and that's commonly mentioned in your reviews, you don't have to be the biggest hotel chain in a certain city in order for all of these AI platforms to be pulling you in and mentioning you. So yeah, I do think it could level the playing field a bit.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would just add that a couple of the most recent algorithm updates, Google has said too that they want to make sure they're giving more visibility to, websites and creators that are authoritative in that niche. So they might be a little bit smaller. So I think now is the time that we're seeing more of those sites gain visibility. And like Nikki said, you're able to, if you're optimizing your content in a way where these tools are able to pull it in easily, and making sure that if you have a local presence, those are optimized well also. So I think it's a good time for these smaller businesses to gain that visibility as well.
Awesome.
And Brittany just got it head on. So I want you guys to think about this as if you're a small and medium business. Let's say you're a plumbing company, okay? There's a good chance New York Times or Forbes or one of those popular sites has articles or some articles related to plumbing out of all the years they've been in business. But if you have a plumbing issue and you're in Los Angeles, California, and it doesn't actually even matter where you are in the world, but would you rather read that from a New York Times or Forbes or someone who's just cranking out tons of plumbing content because they want traffic from every single term on the internet? Or would you rather read the piece of content from a plumbing website or a plumber in a local city who's been solving plumbing issues in houses for 30 years? You're probably going to want to read it from that SMB. They're just going to know more about that subject than some journalist who's getting paid an arm and a leg to just crank out content for search traffic.
Good point. So another couple of questions. We've got about 4 or 5 minutes left. So we talked a lot about video. So Nikki, Brittany, maybe a little confusion here, but here's one of the questions. If you increase the use of video as recommended, doesn't that lower your site speed and negatively affect your SEO? You're not talking necessarily about embedding videos on your website. You're talking about being active in other platforms like YouTube, correct?
I'd say both. You want to make sure that you are producing video content across all of the platforms where your audiences spend time. That could be, horizontal video for YouTube. That could be vertical video for YouTube Shorts, for Instagram, for TikTok. And if you feel that there is a place where you can embed YouTube videos on your website content, you want to make sure that you're doing that in the right way so that it isn't impacting your site speed. But we have seen that increase on-site engagement, which is also really important for, engaging your audience and keeping them on your site longer, which is kind of one of those metrics that we found out through the Google document leaks, that if you're on Google Analytics, Google is looking at that data. How long do people spend on your site? How many pages do they visit? So again, you don't want to do this arbitrarily and just start putting video on every page. But if you have a video that is really helpful for your users, it's performing well on other channels, it isn't the worst idea to consider, testing out embedding it on certain pages on your website.
Yeah, it's.
So Nikki,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say,
Brittany.
embedding, like Nikki said, if you do it the right way, shouldn't add a lot of load time to your page. So testing that is really important, but there definitely are ways that you can add it to the page that it shouldn't make it much heavier, make it so that at that page time, load time is going to increase a ton. So I think there are ways to do it where it makes sense, where you're creating videos across these different platforms, but also including them on the content where, like we were talking about earlier, contextually would make sense too, and would be helpful to the user within different content sections.
And think of lazy loading, right? When someone visits your website, depending on how it's coded, a lot of times your images start loading up for people as they're scrolling. So that way, when they first land on the page, it loads much faster. Same with the video. When you embed a video on your page, even if it's from YouTube, I understand the video player has some size and it can slow down a little bit of loading. But it's not like YouTube is pushing that 10-minute video to your visitor right when they load the page before they even click the play button, right? So just keep that in mind. It shouldn't slow down your
Last
site much
question.
at all.
We got 1 minute. So we're talking videos. A user said, what about TikTok videos? I think the whole video conversation started when it was a Bright Edge study or something that noticed that YouTube videos were being cited more in Google AI overviews, right? But someone's asking, like, can we not do the same thing with our TikTok videos? So Nikki, you're kind of nodding your head. I don't know if you've got anything to say about that before we close it out.
Yeah, I think if you have the right research method going, you can identify, creating the right types of video, and you can find a strategy where you can have that video across multiple platforms, right? So don't just create one type of video for YouTube Shorts and another type of video for TikTok. You want to be working smarter, not harder, repurpose your video across multiple channels. But with that said, we have been running tests with our clients that are working with us on search everywhere optimization. And we've seen them create TikTok videos that do rank successfully on Google. So if you're optimizing for search everywhere and you're doing that in the right way, you're going to be getting visibility in all the places that matter, including TikTok videos ranking on Google SERPs.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, everyone, thank you. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. I know we went over a little bit. You guys have a wonderful day. And if you ever need help with your marketing, check us out, NP Digital. We help companies all around the world.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.